Go ahead, Matt.
Thanks, Stephen. Hello, everybody. I'm Matt Butler, Director of Military and Veteran Services. I'd like to take a quick moment to welcome on board Stephen Hellman, who is our new and the first Assistant Director of Military and Veteran Services here at Fordham University. So we're very excited to have him on board full time. We're certainly at unusual and uncertain times as the world faces this crisis and our country faces this COVID crisis. The Guard and the military have been called up to deal and fight what's been characterized as a battle. This is nothing new to veterans and service members. It's what we trained to do in the military. It's what we did in the military to face crisis and to face uncertainty. Today, what we're trying to do is help you translate all of those unique skills that everybody finds in high demand right now to fight this battle, and then use it to your advantage as you make your transition into the civilian world. So we want to help you to understand your value and your skills and put together a plan for success. I'd like to introduce Tom Murphy, who is the founder of Edge4Vets. Tom has worked with us to take what is an in-person class and turn it into a virtual presentation. Well, we did this with the help of Matthias Ayala, who is the president of the Student Veterans of America at Fordham. There's Matthias, and thanks for all your help to do this. I'd like to thank the mentors that have joined us today. There are a lot of companies and good friends that are partners with us here at Fordham University. We're so glad to have you on. You'll notice that there's a chat button. If at any time you've got a question, you can drop a question in the chat. I'd ask you all just to leave your mics on mute for the time being. When we get to breakout sessions and we ask for questions, we'll have you turn your mics on and give you an opportunity to speak. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Tom Murphy, the founder of Edge4Vets.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, everybody from the Student Veterans Association. What I'm going to do is put up the first screen for the Edge4Vets program. Are you all seeing that now? The welcome.
See it, Tom.
Okay, perfect.
Yep, we are.
As Matt said, we normally do our Edge4Vets workshop each semester as an in-person session. PayPal, one of our corporate partners, was going to be hosting us this spring. However, with the virus, a lot of folks have been scrambling around trying to take their product and figure out a way to do it online. Well, the beauty is that we have the Edge4Vets program as an online module already. We developed it 2 years ago to run as a companion piece to the workshop that we do in person. And now with the virus crisis, we're able to go and give you the full Edge4Vets curriculum as an online program. So the purpose today, and it looks like we've got close to 30 folks, including a mix of mentors from our partner companies and vets. Our purpose today, veterans, is to show you how you can earn your Edge4Vets certificate and get connected to our partners by taking the program online. So let me go to the first slide here and just give you a sense of the agenda today. I'm going to be here for an hour and a half today, and the first part, I'm going to take you through how the online course works. As I said, you're going to get the full Edge4Vets curriculum. So I'm going to go into some of the specifics about what you gain from Edge4Vets, how the program prepares you and then connects you to HR reps at our partner companies. And let me just say, you'll get a chance. We're going to do some breakout sessions today to replicate what we do in the in-person workshop to have small group discussions. We're going to replicate that with some breakout sessions today, and you'll get a chance to meet our partner companies. But just let me acknowledge that we've got Macquarie as one of our partners this spring, Standard Chartered Bank, PayPal, of course, which I mentioned. Pfizer has a representative with us today. Federal Reserve Bank is a new sponsor. They've joined us, and others may be joining us along the way. And we've got some guests with us as well. So when we get into the breakout sessions, we'll go into the specifics of who's with us. But again, the purpose, vets, is to give you a sense of how the online course works and how you can use this for your benefit. The goal of Edge4Vets, Matt said this, is to give you vets what business leaders say you need the most, and that is support to learn how to translate your skills into tools for civilian success, how to take the experience from the military that has given you great strengths, but be able to articulate those in civilian terms so that you can use them, using the term sell, to sell yourself to an HR rep, to somebody will see the value that you can bring their company, and then connect you to the full range of HR reps with our partner companies to get a connection that can lead to getting hired. So the program has two parts to it, if you think about it. We mentioned Translate. That's the preparation piece, and that's what the online course is going to allow you to do. I'll go into all the specifics of how the online works, but the concept is to prepare you, teach you to translate your skills into tools, to develop a plan for success that becomes your personal articulation of your strengths, and then connect you to HR reps. To give you a sense, and I know some of our vets today this is your first introduction to Edge4Vets. As Matt mentioned, we usually do the program as a in-person workshop, but this online course is going to give you the same full benefits. However, what I'd like to do before we get into how the online course works is to show you, give you a window into what an Edge4Vets workshop looks like. If I say that we're going to replicate all the gains that all the benefits you're going to get from that, I'd like you to see what it looks like, and then we'll come back and talk about how the curriculum translates into an online mode.
Vets, you've served our country, now you're home and thinking about a job. But how often have you applied and never heard back? That can be frustrating. That's why we created Edge4Vets, to open the world for you. The Edge4Vets Workshop Series offers a unique system of prep and connect. We blend workshop training with one-on-one mentoring provided by business executives from our partner companies. Mentors participate with you in the translation process and help you become job ready. Then mentors show you how to build a network of contacts while HR reps from our partner companies connect you to job opportunities.
All of the people I've met here have had a remarkable experience and great development in their military service. Business is looking for people like this. What I think is what Edge4Vets does such a good job of helping people understand the translation from military experience into civilian experience, a way that they can think about civilian jobs that helps them understand where they would like to go, and then to be able to explain their skills and their experiences in a military setting and how important and valuable that can be to a civilian interviewer who maybe has no military experience, but understands how to value people with strong personal traits and a commitment to cause.
A facilitator leads the discussion and suggests topics. There are 4 key elements that make up the Edge4Vets curriculum. They are vision, values, skills, and action. Vision, step 1. Mentors help you get clear about the kind of work you want to do for the life that you want. Step 2, values. Mentors help you identify the values you developed in the military, values that can make you valuable to companies. Step 3, skills. Mentors help you gain clarity on the skills you developed in the military and help you develop confidence expressing those skills in civilian terms. Step 4, action. Mentors help you match your interests and skills to companies looking to hire vets. Vets say this blend of instruction and mentoring really works, and so do the mentors.
What Edge4Vets teaches you as a veteran is to take those skills that you've already obtained through 4, 5, 8 years of military service and translate them into terms that a civilian employer can actually understand, because you actually already have obtained the skills. And I think once you realize that, and that's a big part of the transition, is realizing that you do bring a lot of worth to the corporate sector. How do I tell my story? Not wrapped up in military jargon, in civilian terms that employer can understand.
Vets really have eye-opening experiences while they're at these mentoring sessions. I feel like they don't just get to meet other vets who are going through the same things that they are, but they also get to meet people in the business who are willing to help them.
Edge4Vets workshops are offered in New York, Massachusetts, and Florida, and we're expanding rapidly, so look for us in your area. Tap your leadership strengths for an edge in the jobs marketplace. Let Edge4Vets help you get the job you want and the career you want so you can have the life you want. For a copy of the Edge4Vets.
Okay, great. I wanted you to see that. That was the Edge4Vets workshop in person. However, by taking the online course, you're going to get that full curriculum. And when I say curriculum, the 4 in Edge4Vets means something. The 4 parts of Edge4Vets, the 4 statements that make up your plan for success are a statement about vision, where you get support from the program to identify the kind of work you want to do for the career and the life you want. Very often we hear from veterans that they know they're good at something, but they don't know exactly what it is they want to do. So we begin by working on creating a vision statement for what is your passion? What kind of work do you want to do? Not just to, take some job because it's there, but to take something that's going to give you a career and then off of that, the life that you want. So that's part 1 of the plan. Second part is creating a values statement, identifying the strong values you learned in the military that can make you attractive to companies. And we're going to do a little demonstration around this value statement piece in a moment. But your 2 components of your asset, the things companies want you for, vets, are your values that you developed and your skills. So the skills statement is the 3rd part of Edge4Vets, where you identify what you got good at in the military. Those are your skills, both in a technical way and an intangible way. And we're going to do a little session around helping you get clarity on what those skills might be. And then the final piece in Edge4Vets is creating an action plan. Now, in the online course, you get videos and exercises that take you through this full process, and you emerge then at the end of that process with a plan for success. So the prep piece is helping you, and again, the online course is going to do this for you, help you translate your skills, taking your values and your skills, taking your asset from the military and expressing it in your own language. That's what business leaders say you need to do. When you go into an interview, not wrapped up in jargon, but taking what you got good at and what your values are and putting them into your own words. And that's what the course is going to help you do. That's your plan for success. Then following the creation of your plan, we connect you to the HR reps at our companies who are looking for you, and you'll have a plan that can twin with your resume. You put your plan and your resume together, and it's that combination of a plan that articulates your strengths in your own words combined with a resume that gives you the edge to get hired. Saying that, we've got several vets now with us today, I believe, who have taken the course, and we're going to hear from them later on. But what I'd like to do before we get into a demonstration of how these workshops work, and you're going to get support from mentors to be thinking about creating drafts for your statements, I'd like to show you a video where vets who have taken Edge4Vets and now are in the workplace operating at a high level based on their strengths. We created a little music video to profile them. So let me play that for you.
So come on, America, what do you say? Let's get our vets a job today. When the towers toppled in New York, there were DC and Shanksville too, where young men and women answered the call. They were faithful through and through. From Iraqis and to Afghanistan, their courage knows no bounds. Our young vets have the skills, America, to turn this country around. You never wavered, vets. You were true blue. Now that you have the need, it's time we do. The 2 million strong are young vets, loyal to our nation. They've got the edge, America, to lead the next generation. You never wavered, vets. You were true blue. Now that you have the need, it's time we do. Our young vets are home now. In waves they have arrived. Let's put them to work, America. All they want is a 9 to 5. You never wavered, vets. You were true blue. Now that you have the need, it's time we do. Come on, America. What do you say? Let's get our vets a job today. Come on, America. What do you say? Let's get our vets a job today. Come on, America. What do you say? Let's get our vets a job today. Let's get our vets a job today.
Grateful to the Bodmen. Grateful to the Bodmen, a great New York group, for going into the studio and making that video that, and let me just give you the background on it. We started Edge4Vets in 2011. I'm not sure if Jerry Byrne is with us today. I know he was going to try to pop in and out, but Jerry, on the board of the Intrepid, got us a date on the Intrepid in 2011 to kick off the first Edge4Vets program, and started it with a group of Fordham vets, and it has grown now to the point where 1,500 vets in 7 states have taken the program. I wanted you to see that video because the process really works when you do prep and connect. When you do step 1 to identify your strengths, and then through the course, create 4 statements that articulates them in your own language, and combine that with a resume. It really does help you gain an edge when you go for an interview with an HR person. And we're proud that we find up to 8 out of 10 vets who do the system, the full prep and connect system, do get jobs that lead to careers and get them on their way. So I wanted you to see that video showing a sampling of folks for whom it has worked. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this get started piece. Remember, I mentioned that by taking the course online, vets, you're going to get the full benefit of having taken it in a personal setting. You'll be able to watch videos and do exercises that are going to lead you through the process. You'll emerge with a 4-part plan for success and a certificate at the end of that process. But I'm going to save this piece until the end and work with Matt and our SV team to give you a little taste of what an in-person workshop would be like. We're going to replicate some of our small group discussions here and start with a breakout session number 1. Remember, I told you there were 4 statements in the plan for success: a vision statement, a value statement, a skill statement, and an action plan. And we're going to take 2 of those components today and give you a chance to work with some of our mentors and our guests today that who are with us. And Steve is going to send you off into a couple of breakout sessions. As you see in that photo, the way we do it when we're in person is we create small group discussions with tables with a group of vets and a group of mentors at each table. And we give each table something to talk about, and what they talk about helps them in the creation of that statement for the plan for success. In the case of the value statement, what we're going to ask you to talk about, we're going to replicate that small group discussion here online by going into breakout sessions. And vets, we're going to ask you to talk about the values that you inculcated in the military that guide you today. And I'll say that again. Companies want to hire you for the values that you can bring to them. And you inculcated values in the military that make you attractive to companies. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to key it up with a video. This video you see next is one that is on the online program. So when you go and you take the online program, you'll get a chance to refresh yourself and watch this video, then to create a value statement for yourself that answers that question. What values did you inculcate in the military that guide you today? And we're going to talk about that when we come back. I'm going to give you 10 minutes in a breakout session, vets, to talk about that. Mentors your role, and Steve will break you into breakout groups with a mix of vets and mentors. I'm going to ask a mentor in each of those groups. As I mentioned, we've got Macquarie, Standard Chartered Bank, PayPal, Pfizer, Federal Reserve Bank. We've got several companies represented today. I'm going to ask a mentor in each of those breakout sessions to take the lead and give vets, you don't have to talk, but I'm going to encourage you, vets, in your breakout session, answer that question, the values that you inculcated that you carry today. And mentors, your role is to just listen and affirm, not to do the talking. We want to get the vets to do the talking. And I'm going to key it up with this video. And then what we'll do is give you 10 minutes to go into your breakout session and then come back into the full group and share what you talked about.
You don't have to be a military veteran to possess strong values, but chances are, because you served in the Marines, Army, Navy, Air Force, or Coast Guard, your values run deep. Companies want to hire you for the military values that you can bring to their workplace. In this section, we'll help you create a values statement to show them just how valuable you can be. Go to your Edge4Vets workbook. There we've listed the values espoused by each branch in the military. Nobody needs to remind you of the values promoted by your branch, whether it's the 14 leadership traits of the Marines, Army's 7 core values, or the value statements espoused by the Air Force, Navy, or Coast Guard. But you need to reaffirm for yourself how strongly you are guided by these values, so you can make that known to job recruiters. To gain clarity, we'll ask you to read through the values from your branch and record in the workspace how these values remain important for you today. Secondly, we'll give you space to tell how you applied your values during your time in the military. And thirdly, we'll ask you to tell how your military values continue to serve as your foundation for action in your civilian life today. Then we give you space to create a values statement. That will add an ace of diamonds to your hand to sell yourself in an interview.
Okay, so Steve, I'm going to turn it over to you to put folks into breakout sessions. But again, just let me affirm for you, vets, companies want to hire you for the values you can bring. We believe, because you're in the military, you have these strong values. The ball is going to be in your court, though, to go and identify the values you developed in the military that guide you today, and be able to just talk about those in your own personal terms, your own terms. And that, lo and behold, is the translation process, talking about them in your own language. And you will have, then, well, I'm going to leave it to the mentors in the breakout session to affirm that those values then will make you attractive to the company. You've already got them. The key is to articulate them. So that's what you can talk about for 10 minutes. Steve, do you want to send folks into sessions? And again, I'm going to ask a mentor in each group just to take the lead and go around the quote unquote table and give vets a chance who want to talk a chance to share the values that they developed in the military.
Sure, thanks, Tom. So I'm going to open up the breakout rooms in a second here. So I'm actually going to open up the first one for 15 minutes just to give a little wiggle room for intros. And we'll have about 7 vets in each room with a couple mentors in each. So you'll be able to see the timer in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. It'll count down. Once that countdown happens, it'll bring us all back to this main session where we can continue the discussion. So I'll go ahead and open up the rooms now.
Hear that, because I think what you'll find is a very good overlap in qualities that are basically been bred into you that people
had, the dependability, and the knowledge that I have in my MOS. As Matthias said earlier, I was in an MOS which didn't require a lot of skills. You know, we were driving trucks, but managing was really where it came. My bread and butter was my communication, my dependability, the initiative that I took when I was leading different things. I was a convoy commander for most of our Talisman Sabre exercise, which is a faux invasion of Iraq. Then we're working with coalition forces to understand how logistics supports ground combat elements and different things like that. I was an explosives transport driver, which by itself is an extremely dangerous job, especially if you don't know what you're doing. And other than that, it was my second unit was 1st Battalion, 11th Marines, where I was the line NCO managing over 25 to 30 million dollars of equipment when it came to attaching 777 howitzers and various amounts of trucks that we had. So I would say all the transferable skills that I learned from that is the communications that I learned, and the initiative that I had to take when leading my junior Marines, and just the tenacity to be able to push on. And that's pretty much it.
Excellent. Certainly, now more than ever, I think one thing that you've said more than once is dependability. You know, well, we're dealing with nothing but dependability right now. Volatility is the name of the game, and certainly if you can be that person that people rely on, you know, that translates into any field, really. Are there any other vets on the phone? I think I see one here that's not named. It's 212-231-1000.
I think that's me dialing in, Juan Lopez.
Oh, okay. Hey, Juan. So usually we have some of the mentors kind of, you know, as Tom said, reinforce some of the things we're hearing. Maybe you guys can give some examples of how those qualities, you know, matter to you in your line of business. You know, is it Peter? Oh, Peter, sorry. Who's PayPal? Steven.
It's me. I'm here. So I was listening and to all of you, and like I wrote notes for each one of you. So do you want me to go that way, Jimmy? You think that would work?
Yeah, I think that would help.
Is it Matthias? Is that how you say it?
Matthias.
Matthias. Okay. So you're right in my wheelhouse. Obviously, you said information security. You mentioned platoon sergeant decision making. So there's two parts of IS that I would say. Obviously, you've got the hardware side, software side, three parts. Sorry, the software side, and then you've got some of the compliance part of it. All of that, to some extent, is gonna. You said decision making. Huge decision making is involved there for all of those. And when I say that to you, for a corporation, the decision making part of it is especially when it comes to information security, it's a matter of anything from a hack. It could be anything from the bad PR that follows that hack. So all of it is going to play a part in that, essentially. So I can tell you here internally, we have phishing is a massive part of the business. Huge. Like example, I had to report LinkedIn yesterday for a phishing attempt by someone who tried to connect. So I had to all the way escalate to that. So it all depends. What I'm saying is, you being on the front lines of making decisions from your experience in the military, it's going to be no different from you going to the information security side. So leveraging that, hey, I had to make decisions on a quick whim for XYZ reasons when I was in the military is no different than doing the same on information security. So obviously there's going to be different technologies involved, and you can learn that over time, but the ultimate taking that leadership role and making the decisions for, hey, is this going to be a bad exposure, or is it going to be a hack? We literally have an email box here that they just keep monitoring it, and for internal employees to send it. And in San Jose at the command center, it's actually a globe where they can show you how many hits around the world by minute by second where they're getting hits for information security attacks. So for me, that's what stood out for me for yours. It's like your ability to make decision makings on the fly is going to be huge on the security side. That's why I picked up for him, because that's in my wheelhouse. So I'll let someone else take the other.
That's actually really helpful. I appreciate that. It's one of the biggest things I've been struggling with is it's a pivot for me as far as careers and
Sure.
trying to translate that. So that definitely helps me.
It will never go away. It is the biggest expenditure of every corporation. It will never go away. So if you want to connect offline, I could give you all what certs to do, depending. We could talk about hardware, software, compliance, all of that.
Absolutely. That'd be great.
No problem. Anyone else want to take Peter or Julia? Juan?
Yeah, I'll jump in here. So just looking at Peter, my notes here, logistics manager, oversees, again, well, we did talk about dependability as being a big point. So as far as utilization, I think a lot of the vets that I've spoken to in the past, roles like compliance and logistics are very prominent, because with compliance, you have detail orientation. And for those who don't know, what I mean by compliance is the validating a customer that you're facing, that they're, quote, for lack of a better word, good people. So you have to check databases to see if their name is on an OFAC or a sanction list. You have to, in my business, I deal with moving metal around the world, gold, silver. So we have to worry about narcotraficantes, drug dealers, money launderers, smugglers, people who forge documents. I mean, it's absolutely crazy, the stuff that I've seen. And as you say, the devil is in the details. So if you're somebody that's detail-oriented, fields like compliance, logistics, where you don't have a margin, or even on the bank side, trading is another thing where you got to get the right price. You have to make the right decision. Certainly nothing compares. I'm not a veteran. My father was, and obviously thank you for your service before anything, which is what we usually open up with during these meetings. But the closest I think I've seen to that type of combat is, at least in the financial world, is on a trading desk where you're locked in. There's people to the left, people to the right. It could be a managing director with an associate, with the VP. It doesn't matter. You all are there, and you make a wrong move. You buy instead of sell, or you hit one key versus another, or you have the wrong, what we call the handle, meaning the let's say a price has 4 digits. You don't really concentrate on the first 3 because you should know them. You focus on the last one when you're quoting. But if you don't know the handle, meaning if you don't know the first 3 numbers, you can misquote something. And I think that's a very important aspect to what you're doing. Well, it looks like our session's wrapping up soon. So, any other vets want to chime in? Oh, okay.
The other part of things that I was interested in is event planning, something else that I do for the club here. And it's a very bad time to be applying for a job as an event planner. Everything's canceled. So yeah, interesting, weird times.
Absolutely. And, looking at event planning, I only have 13 seconds left, but these people still got to get married, and baptisms, confirmations. It's not going to go away.
Thank you all. I had a chance to pop around from room to room. Again, mentors, thank you for leading the discussion. The point, and I'll just, pick up where I left off during the introduction. The point is, veterans, companies want to hire you for the values you can bring to them. You have, based on your military experience, enormous values, whether it's integrity, as I heard some of the groups talking about, selfless service, others were talking about, whatever the values, that commitment, courage, whatever values that you developed and inculcated to such a strong degree, the more you can talk about them, the more you're going to make yourself appealing to an HR recruiter who is looking for somebody who can bring the values to them. So you've got them. The key is just to be able to go in like a miner, go and get them out and then bring them forward And very often we hear from the vets, well, I don't want to sound like I'm bragging, or I don't want to talk too much about myself. You know, put a big X through that, because the key in an interview, and I want you to take everything that we're doing today and use this in your interviews. The key in your interview is to get that person to say yes to you. And the way that person's going to say yes is if they can see that you can express something that they need. And companies need people with strong values. So what I'd like to hear from some of our mentors is, in your discussions, you heard vets talking about values that they had. I'll just give you one example in one of the groups, and I don't know if Peter Watkins might want to chip in here. As I was listening, you were talking about, you know, being in charge of supply chain, and that was a leadership role for you. And one of the values that you inculcated was initiative, taking initiative. What I'd like to do, Peter, and you know, you
Sure.
talked about it in your small group, but for the benefit of the full group, if you could just share, you know, again, how initiative was such a strong value that you developed in the military, became such a strong part of you from your military service that it's central to you now, and just share what you talked about in your small group for the benefit of the full group. Then before we go on to the next breakout session around skills, I'd like some of our mentors, after, you know, Peter chips in and represents everybody talking about his value, but do this, Peter, you know, representing everybody. I'd like to hear some of the mentors affirm that the values that you heard the vets talk about are attractive to you and can give somebody an edge to get hired at your company. So Peter, not to put you on the spot.
No worries.
That's what I'm doing, I guess. Take it over from here and just recap for us what you talked about in terms of initiative.
Absolutely. So in our small breakout sessions, we were talking about skill assets that we learned while we were leaders in the military. For me, as a small unit leader, as most of us were, I was an NCO working for the 31st MU Humanitarian Aid Assistance division of that MU. And initiative was a lot of what I learned. Hopefully my boss, Mr. Butler, will be able to attest to the fact that I could take initiative sometimes. But when it comes to being hired, I imagine that's one of the most important things, an individual thinker that could take charge on their own and be able to either address an issue that they're having at work, or take spearhead on a point on a position for a project that you're all working on. For me, having self-sustained motivation to do something that a lot of people are not willing to do or afraid to do is extremely important as a leader and as a veteran in the workplace. We are looked at in much different ways than our civilian counterparts when we were put into a job. And initiative is a lot of that, having the confidence and the belief in yourself that you can make a choice decision to lead everybody else to victory, whether it's in the workplace, on the battlefield.
Yeah, and Peter, how old were you when you were in the military?
I signed up when I was 22 years old. So my first unit, within the first 2 weeks of me arriving at my first unit, I was 23 at the time, actually. So that was August. I was 23, taking initiative as like a young Lance Corporal.
You know, and let me just stop you there, because as I mentioned, 1,500 vets have been through Edge4Vets so far in 9 years. And I ask you that question because it's one that I hear repeatedly from vets. You have enormous responsibility. You did have enormous responsibility in the military, but you had this responsibility at a very young age. And so you were 22, 23, 24, carrying out this initiative, as you said, you know, taking charge, making things happen. And what I'd love to hear is some of the companies affirm for us that somebody who can bring that kind of value to your company is something, number one, that your company values, but then also can give them an edge when they're interviewing for you. Any of our mentors want to jump in and take that before we go on to the next section on skills?
Hey, it's Gus Wong from Macquarie here. Tom, I really echo that. I think it's really, something that vets should be really proud of and feel confident to showcase the values that they bring. What we heard around leadership and the ability to make decisions even at a young age, that is something that we prize and value and covet as a competency in our organization, which is in finance. And just to piggyback off, our breakout session, we heard from Aaron, who had spent some time in the infantry, and I was really impressed with the single-minded focus on excellence. That is something that it's very hard to teach. It is a value to strive for excellence, and he used a quote here, which is about real life consequences. There's no second place in a firefight. And while we might not have those life or death type situations in the financial world, it is competitive, and we value someone who comes in with that inner drive. We also heard from our vet, Chris, who was talking about adaptability and teamwork, and that's something that really is a competency that we really value in our organization. Thank you, Tom.
Wonderful. Let me just recap that, Gus, what you're talking about, summarizing a couple of things, I'm sure was true in all four of the breakout sessions. So that's, you see, I just want to underscore for you the point in all of this. What we're looking to do with these breakout sessions is give you a chance to get support from our mentors to answer, and you see it on the screen there, that question. What values did you inculcate in the military that guide you today? You might just think, oh, well, nobody wants to hear about that. Wrong. If you can go into an interview, identify values as Gus just described that he heard in his session from some of the vets, go into an interview and talk about that in your own language, you will be setting yourself up with an edge that's going to get that interviewer to lean forward and pay attention to you. And that's what you want in an interview. You want that edge that's going to distinguish you. Our point is that you've got that edge. You've got that edge already. You've got an asset, and the asset breaks down into the values you develop and the skills that you develop. You have that. You don't have to have been in the military to have values and skills. However, because you're in the military, there's a very strong chance you have a great quantity of values and a great quantity of skills that when you can talk about them in your own terms, based on your experience, you're going to get an interviewer to lean forward and pay attention to you. And that's our goal in all of this, to give you put the cards in your hand so that you can sell yourself. So that was part one, the values you developed. And I hope that you were able to, whether you jotted it down in person or, made some mental notes. When you take the online course, we're going to take you through this process again, and you're going to have a chance to type in a space your values statement, and then you move to the next one, the skill statement. And when you type in these answers and go through the process, you'll hit submit at the end, and out will come a really nice, well-crafted, attractive plan for success that becomes your card to sell yourself. So with that as the introduction to the next breakout session, and Steve will send folks there in a moment, what I'd like to do is to tee up the next conversation for breakout number 2 around skills. Is that's what I'm going to ask you. You got practice in the first session. Steve's going to give you your groups 15 minutes again to give each vet a chance to talk about whatever your MOS was. What were your duties? That's what I'd like you to identify. What duties did you have, and what did you get good at carrying out those duties? I think Peter, your thing about the supply chain and all was your duty. You can pick up on that point. I encourage others to pick up on their values piece to talk about next what you got good at in a technical way or an intangible way in carrying out your duties, because that's going to be your skill set. That's going to be your skill set that is transferable to the civilian sector. And mentors, again, I'm going to ask you to listen and affirm as the vets talk about what they got good at. Affirm for them that this has value to your company and therefore can give them an edge when it comes to securing a job.
Tom, before we go there, can I make just one quick point?
Yes.
Something that I heard that I hear from a lot of veterans is that they talk about values that are like over and above what all of it is kind of like a standard value that every service member has to have. And they kind of take for granted those standard set of core values, if you will, and don't give them the merit that they deserve when they talk about the values that they have. They're talking about, I want to be the most competitive, I want to be the best, and they've got to do they got to have all those values underneath that makes them a cut above everybody else in a very competitive environment.
Excellent point, Matt. And I think a good lead into our next discussion on skills. And before, Steve, you send folks, what I'd like to do is tee up the discussion for the skills small group with this video.
Imagine this, an interviewer asks you about your skills and you say, my MOS was AMS. I graduated in the top 5% in the military school, including PLDC. I represented my unit at the NCO boards, throwing in every bit of jargon you can muster, and you get this. That's the look of a mile-wide gap opening between you and the dream job you've been working so hard to land. But all is not lost. In this video, we'll show you how to do what business leaders say you need to do most, and that is translate your military skills into language for the civilian workplace. Here's a comment from a business leader at McKinsey. Companies want strong change leaders, people who can lead by example. But there's one problem for companies. How do we find leaders with these skills? You can be the answer to that question, but you have to show companies that you have the skills that they need. There are 3 steps to translate your military skills into tools for civilian success. First, identify duties you had in the military. You had many, but list 3 that stand out. For example, if your MOS, as shown above, was AMS, Aviation Maintenance Service, your duties might have included 1, keeping meticulous records, 2, amassing knowledge, 3, reporting on a regular basis. Next, list 3 things you got good at in a technical way as you carried out your duties. You might say, 1, highly organized, 2, data collection, 3, sharp analysis. In addition to technical skills, you developed intangible skills, and you want to talk about them as well. We work with 4 intangible skills in Edge4Vets called resiliency strengths. They are adaptability, engagement, optimism, and proaction. We'll ask you to list ways you got good at being resilient. For example, you might say, adaptable, I learned how to adjust on the spot. Engagement, team player. Optimism, keeping myself up. Proaction, when I saw a problem, I acted. Again, we give you a worksheet to record your experiences and break out your own technical and intangible skills to create a skills statement. Once you do that, you will put another ace in your hand. Your skills statement is your ace of clubs. With each step, you're upping your chances to ace your interview. And that's our goal.
Okay, great. So Steve, I'm going to let you break everybody into sessions again. 15 minutes, folks. Vets, this is what we want you to talk about. And mentors, keep the vets focused on this, answering this question. What were your duties and what did you get good at? And just get comfortable talking. And again, please don't feel that it's like, oh, bragging, or as Matt says, everybody, this is not, extraordinary because I thought everybody. No, if you got good at something, talk about it and develop that confidence just using your own language to talk about what you got good at. And mentors encourage them to do this. And then we'll come back and recap as a full group.
Sure. Thanks, Tom. And real quick, before I open up the next session, just curious, but if there's any Coasties in here, send a little Semper P my way in the chat box. I know we can be, as rare as unicorn in these types of events, but I know I'm bound to see at least someone from the Coast Guard one of these days. That's my little plug. But besides that, so I changed up the rooms a little bit this time, just to switch it around, meet new people. So I'll open it up with the same 15-minute timer. Same rules apply. It'll bring you back in the main session right after.
So we're back. All right. See who we have in the room here. Okay, Kareem's still here. Christian's still here. And Mateus,
that correct?
Yes, Matthias.
Matthias, thank you, Matthias. You know, the most important word in the English language is the other person's first name. So thanks. Feel free to correct me again if I mispronounce. Okay, well, welcome. So, so yeah, it looks like we got that question. What were your duties and what did you get really good at? Anyone want to volunteer for going first and talking about their duties and what they got good at?
So I was a Marine in the infantry. My MOS was anti-tank missile man or missile gunner. And primary duties were, obviously every Marine's a basic rifleman. And then my primary weapon system was the Saber system. So we had to be really good at handling the missiles there, which obviously are explosives. So we had to take good care in handling that. And then the secondary weapon we always had was our machine gun. For me, it was a 240 Bravo. So a lot of that was really being able to follow directions from the team leaders when I was the gunner. And then eventually I was promoted to a team leader. And after that, I was promoted to a platoon sergeant. So my duties were anywhere from actually operating the weapon system to actually running the whole gun line for a whole platoon.
Yeah, so you got promoted. So what was the thing that you were so good at that got you the attention for promotion and just standing out?
I think the biggest thing was proficiency in the actual job itself, actually knowing that weapon system inside and out. But then at the same time, being able to make quick decisions and making those tactical decisions, at a moment's notice.
Nice. Okay. All right. We'll go around the room. Christian or Kareem, do you want to tell your story? Or Deb, do you have a comment or a reaffirming comment? I just want to make sure everyone gets engaged.
Yeah, I will probably more toward the end. Just curious to hear everyone's.
Sure. Okay.
I guess I can start. Yeah. So one thing for me was in the Army we have a thing is called the NCO Creed, and there's a line in that says try to remain tactically and technically proficient. And so for me, a story. My second time in Afghanistan, I was only a Sergeant E5, and typically to run a squad, and a squad in the Army consists of anywhere between 10 and 13 soldiers. And so that's usually run by a staff sergeant who's an E6. I was only an E5. Within my company, we had numerous E6s, but because my commander thought that I was the most technically proficient, I led a squad as an E5, which is unheard of in Afghanistan when there's other E6s in the organization. And so I think for me, just being able to remain with that proficiency, like map reading was my thing. I knew how to navigate. I took everything serious, especially when it was getting from point A to point B, because that's when bad things happen in Afghanistan, moving throughout the theater. So I took moving seriously. And so I think that's what made me stand out apart, was just remaining proficient in map reading and land nav and knowing our TTPs, our technical and tactical procedures, the inside out. And so just, like Mariah said, just remaining proficient in those fields is what ultimately led me success. And I was the only one in the company as a sergeant to receive a Bronze Star medal, which again is unheard of for someone who's an E5 who shouldn't be in that position anyway. So
nicely done. Okay. All right, Christian.
Nothing quite as life-threatening or dangerous as my other two cohorts here, but my skill, I guess, I picked up from serving in the Air Force was effective communication, and I guess it's appropriate having worked with communications and intelligence doing that. And effective communication and sort of the aspect of being able to sort of talk to people at different levels, whether it was people I was in charge of or people that were in charge of me that sort of needed that being able to be briefed on the things we were going to do or the things that we proposed to do. So being able to effectively communicate to, you know, my troops that were under me was one thing. Being able to delegate tasks, and then being able to, you know, taking those tasks from people that were in charge of me, you know, further delegating those things down. So being able to communicate with my leaders in sort of effective way, saying what we needed in terms of resources or permissions to do certain things, to be able to carry out the tasks that, you know, their leaders had brought down, and then, you know, in a sort of off-duty sense, taking care of my guys, whether it's like making sure, like, you know, if they came into work, say, like, you know, if they look like they're having some kind of problem, like they're late or something, you know, it's one thing to be able to communicate discipline, but another thing to be able to go onto like a personal level, like maybe, you know, it goes deeper than that, and sort of being able to communicate in a lot of different facets, I realized was something important, and something that, when done ineffectively with certain, you know, leaders that I had, was able to take those experiences and to spin it into my own, and, you know, learn from those mistakes that I'd been, you know, subjected to, but sort of be able to, you know, bring into a more positive way, to not make those same mistakes. And, you know, hopefully that was something that was communicated again to my own guys, leaders, and that sort of thing.
No, nicely stated. Christian, just real quick, follow-up question is, you know, out of all the things that you experienced and you learned, what did you get really good at you know you want to take with you for the rest of your life?
Oh, sorry, it kind of cut out like the last like few words there.
Yeah. So what are the few things that you took from the experience that you're going to take with you for the rest of your life that you got really good at, and that kind of define, you know, how you operate and what you did? Like, what are some of the tasks and some of the things that you did?
So a lot of the tasks that I had to deal with was, again, working communications and intel, was taking a lot of sort of data and information we were given by other people, and being able to work with a team of people that had different specialties, being able to be self-sufficient, and being able to sort of, again, have the integrity to realize when I don't have the capability to reach out to my guys, whether it was other people that I'd worked with previously or currently work with, and being able to bring our heads together and solve different problems. So being able to coordinate and communicate those sort of strengths and weaknesses was something that I'll be able to take forward in the future.
No, nicely stated. And I think it came out of all your stories, by the way. Deb, I'll pass to you in a second. Just one last comment is that, you know, I think we take for granted that as military or veterans, the steps that we learn to take, there's data analysis, gathering information, that's work. Doing the analysis of information, that's more work. Be able to synthesize it and influence others, and having the humility to know your blind spots and bring people together and lead. To have that, you know, that level of rigor and discipline and structure, a cream story, you know, or the tactical proficiency, it goes across your stories. It comes out, but you have to tell it in a story like you just did, in a way that anyone can understand. So I just want to affirm that what you have all stated is really valued by employers, much so, and they don't hear it from people your age very often in the interview process. I don't know, Debbie, you want to have any comment or maybe some additions to that?
Yeah, no, exactly right. And when I was, you know, because I'm just I'm on meetings all the time, so I'm always taking notes. And as I was writing down from each of you, it's like, okay, you make this easy, right? You've all got these skills that are not necessarily, that a lot of people don't have. Good communication, I can tell you how many sessions I've sat in on how to communicate with clarity. When we're hiring people, we are really focused on verbal written communications, and and also learning from your mistakes and seeing that as an opportunity for lessons learned and to turn it into something positive. Huge. The ability to, I was talking last night about someone that I might hire in Australia, and the fact that he was, once someone was provided some constructive feedback, he actioned it. He didn't push it away, which I experienced as well. But being a team leader and being promoted, being an E5 and taking on a role that others would, that no one's had at your level, and when there were other people available, huge, right? The communication, learning from mistakes, team lead, promotion. You have, between the three of you, you have so many points that you can really expand on in an interview. And I would always suggest having examples instead of saying, I'm good at, but you use the example that then explains and demonstrates these different skills and competencies. Because as Pat's saying as well, a lot of people don't have these. And you have them and they're embedded. They're not even something you're necessarily just new to and working on. They're something that you've been demonstrating and doing for a number of years. And I think it's super valuable.
Oh, no, thank you. I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I started this from the last gathering we had, the last breakout, the first breakout, and I was asking all three to write this down. That's the acronym STAR, STAR. And part of the interview process, probably the most important aspect about the interview process, is that you have to be able to tell a story very effectively and very concisely. And the way I teach people, and that was taught to me, and this is all universal across industries, is telling the story using the STAR method. Is first you talk about the situation, then you talk about the tasks that you took, the tasks that others around you took, or needed to take, and then the actions that people actually took from the tasks that you identified, and what were the results. And results aren't always happy ending, rainbows, and milk and cookies for all, right? Because that will send everyone not believing your story. So you always want to have a level of salt. How it was positive, of course, right? Your influence skills comes out in how you tell the story. But saying the situation was this, the task that I identified and everyone else around us thought was important were that. Actions I took, that I partnered with others, they took, and here were our team's results, and here was my part, and this is how it came out to be bigger, because I was able to influence other people. Like that format, the more you practice that, the more effective you're able to communicate to that hiring manager and that recruiter that you're the one that I should hire to solve my problem, because that's the number one goal of the interview. You have to convince the hiring manager that you're the one to solve my problem, right? So there's always matching, there's reading body language, there's telling a story, making sure they understand, they're nodding their head. You're always trying to show and demonstrate those skills that you can't, it's intangibles. There's no words to describe it. There's body language, there's tone. So I'm going to give you guys some advice, because we only have a short time together. And I don't know if you agree, disagree, if you want to build upon it, but I want to make sure as veterans, I think we struggle a lot with our translation and how do we tell stories. Deb?
No, I would agree, and that's what I was saying. Bringing examples will help demonstrate these different skills that you have that are really valued. Sometimes it's really hard to, if we just talk about I'm a good communicator, I communicate well. But then when you were describing as well, Kristen, that this is both with your team and with leaders, communicating up, communicating, I don't want to say down, but with your colleagues and peers. These are different skills. So this is a more complex set of communication skills that you have, and those examples will communicate that to the hiring manager, and they're really valued. I mean, I can't stress enough that what you all have mentioned as strengths are highly valued. I'm interviewing people all the time, and these are things that I look for in junior and senior roles.
Everybody's got the skills statement up there? Do you see
Yeah,
that?
we can see it.
Okay.
Yes, Tom,
great.
it's up there.
All right, we're getting ready to wrap up today. Before we do, and I will go into the specific details on veterans, how you can use the online program to access the course and be able to watch the videos and take the exercises and create your plan for success. I'll give you all that. But before we do, let's recap. I again hopped around from room to room and heard some wonderful discussions that you were having. Is there anybody who would like to share, a vet like to share the answer to that question? You know, what duties that you had? You talked about it in your small group, but again, for the purposes of the full group, share what your duties were and what you got good at, because again, that is the translation process. If you can identify what you got good at, carrying out your duties, you've got a skills statement that when you go into an interview and the interviewer says, well, tell me a little bit about yourself. What skills do you have? You can go right to that statement. Any vet who would like to share? Not a shy group before I pick on somebody?
I could share. Oh, okay.
Okay, who is that? Kristen? Yeah, Kristen, go ahead, share. I heard you talking about communication, if I'm not mistaken, right? In your group.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Correct.
Why don't you tell the full group what you had some excellent points about communication and then delegating. So I'll back out. You talk.
Sure. For the full group, my name is Christian. I'm a student vet here at Fordham, economics major, upcoming senior. And I was in Air Force for 6 years doing communications and intel. So the skill that I took away from my time in service was definitely effective communication, which obviously is good for being in that career field. So that skill definitely manifested with being able to talk to people at different levels, whether they were troops, the men and women I was in charge of, or the people that were above me. So that skill was definitely implemented a lot in my day-to-day life when it was taking tasks delegated down to me from my leaders, and then taking that and then sort of repackaging it and delegating tasks further down to my guys, and then working with my team at my level to then get those sort of goals accomplished. And then again, if say I had to communicate back to my leaders of resources and permissions and those kinds of things that we needed to get jobs done that they requested of us, being able to repackage those things and being able to effectively communicate to leaders that may not be as technically proficient at certain levels, but may have a certain level of knowledge that, you know, me and my guys didn't have, that we could then work together to be able to do. And aside from that, being a leader, being a, you know, young staff sergeant in charge of, you know, people that may be even older or younger than myself, being able to do that outside the workplace, whether someone came in late or someone was not looking so great at work, being able to communicate on a personal level, like maybe it's a discipline thing, but aside from that, maybe it was something going on in their day-to-day life. So, you know, just checking in with people on that personal level and building that rapport, I noticed was something important aside from just the whole uniform military thing, being able to get down to their level and find out what that is. And that definitely built up a lot of camaraderie and making a more effective team. And all that just packaged under communication, I realized was something really important.
You know,
So
Christian,
that's
let me just underscore, Christian. You know, how old were you when you did that? Again, you said you're young. How old were you?
So I joined when I was 19, and then I was promoted by the time I was 21. So you know, when I was 21 to 25.
Yeah, and what and by the way, when you write your skills statement, don't change a word of it, okay? Because to me, and I'll let others react to this. Love to hear from other mentors reacting to this. There were some incredible components to that I think can make you very marketable. it sounds to me, listening to you, that you've got great management capabilities here. And when I say that, I mean that you mentioned communication, which involves the value we talked about earlier around engagement. You have a lot of different personalities you're dealing with, I'm sure. You're a young guy, you're 19, 20, 21, 22, and you've got people that are possibly older than you that you're needing to interact with, and you've got a full range of personality types, and you have to be able to know how to say something in a way that the other person, no matter what their personality is, receives it from you. So the skill, as I'm hearing, and I'd love to hear, some of our other mentors affirm the value to your company of this. The skill is that you have the ability to deal with a wide range of people and get your point across. And the skill within that is this ability to engage people. And the other piece of it is that when you communicate, if I'm hearing you correctly, you've got to be accurate in what you communicate. So it's not just talking, it's the information you give has to be accurate. And when you go into an interview, please underscore that as well, because you're taking that information from somebody, passing it to others, and you've got to be able to do it in a way that reflects accurately the orders that were given to you, so they get passed along in a way that they get carried out in a way that is effective and efficient. Because if you're not accurate, you can only imagine how the train can go off the track. You know what I'm saying? Any mentors want to jump in? And again, Christian, I would urge you, don't change a word of it. Anybody want to back me up that Christian, you're on the right track when you go into an interview? You have, to my mind, fully translated what you're good at. Anybody want to back me up?
Hey, Tom, Jimmy here.
Yeah.
Good to see you, buddy.
See you.
I'm here to affirm, your thoughts. I think now more than ever, communication is so critical. We have a generation of, is it Gen Z right now? Younger people completely born into these sort of online chat, virtual world, and it's a struggle, to even maintain social relationships, let alone actually operate in a corporate setting. I'm sure anybody here on this chat who's worked with that group of people, it's a challenge. You have to struggle with people that haven't had the time, like somebody like me didn't have the internet, didn't have chat rooms. If you wanted to go meet a date, you have to hope that she shows up, kind of thing. So communication is so critical. And I think it's critical, like you said, you're a younger guy when you joined, and you're certainly younger now, but it is something that is absolutely critical in whatever field of work you're doing. And if you can actually be human about it, like you said, that you can actually show a side that makes a customer or a boss even who might be compromised or feel vulnerable, if you can make them comfortable, it's a huge asset. I just definitely agree. Communication now more than ever is critical.
Thank you. Let me do this. I'm gonna go to the next slide here, which is group discussion. Let's pull it all together. What you got, vets, with these small group discussions today, these breakout sessions, is a taste of the kind of support that Edge4Vets is designed to give you. We give you in the online course a chance to go through, watch videos, and answer questions in 4 areas that will allow you to make statements in each of these 4 areas, and then hit submit, and out will come a really nice professional, a personal plan for success that articulates your strengths in your own words. Again, the online course is going to explain all of that before we break today. And we are getting ready to break soon, because we announced that this would go from 1 to 2:30. We're coming up fast on 2:30, but what we're going to do is, as we often do in the Edge4Vets workshop, is let folks who don't need to leave and you want to hang around, we're going to continue and leave this group discussion open for folks to continue to network back and forth. Before I give the specifics on the online course and how it works, though, is there any vet who, based on what you've seen today in this sampling of what we're trying to do for you, can you see value in a system like this, where you get preparation and this will be in an online mode this time, to translate your skills and then connect you. And I'll go into detail about how we're going to give you a period of time to work at your own speed to craft your plan for success, take the online course, and then we're going to come back May 15th and have a connection session where we're going to invite our mentors to come back and talk specifically about job openings they have, how you apply at their company. And by then, we'll be able to send them, those of you who've created your plan for success, your plan. So that connection session a month from now is going to have great value because you will have a chance to think through all these strengths that you have. And then you can work with the mentors to match how your skills and interests match up with opportunities at their company. But what I'd like to do is just, ask any vet to share how you think a system of prep and then connect like this can have value for you. And I don't know if Dawn is on Dawn on here today? Dawn Jolly, who was one of our vets who you saw her featured in the video. She was going to try and join us today. Was Dawn able to stay with us? Are you here, Dawn? Because you'll meet Dawn at some point, but I wanted her to share how, specifically she did get value. But hypothetically, is there any vets who are attending this for the first time and just getting introduced to this? Just want to share how you think something like this system can have value for you. And then to hear from the mentors, how a vet who does this system invests their time to identify their strengths and articulate them in a plan like this can have an edge with your company because they've invested time to identify their strengths and they're coming with more clarity then to their interview. So I'd like to turn it over to the vets to share how you think this could be helpful to you, this system. And then if there's a mentor who would like to share how vets who do invest their time do gain an edge. So first the vet. Anybody want to field that?
Hey, Tom, I'd be happy to fill that. I think one of the biggest takeaways is that I appreciate, at least with this kind of program, is the fact that I'm actually talking to people that are in the corporate world already and actually given the opportunity to actually pick their brain and see what they're actually looking for and what their their expectations are. So I was a Marine in the infantry, and one of the biggest things when I was transitioning out of the service was everyone was like, oh, well, I guess you can go be a police officer, right? And that's 100% not what I want to do. And that was really like the only thing they said the infantry can do as far as translated skills. So this is definitely nice and insightful for me to be able to take the actual skills that I do have from the military and from other prior experience and, develop that into something that actually translates into a career that I want to do and not necessarily go be part of another gun club.
That's really well said. Thank you. Any mentor want to just underscore for Mateus and others how, investing their time like this can give them an edge when they go looking for a job with you?
Hey, Tom, this is Steve from Macquarie. I'll jump in on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a advantage to this program is the vets have the opportunity to put their thought process together so that when they walk into the interview, they know what message they want to get across, regardless of what the interviewer asks. The vet's greatest values and skills, the interviewer may not ask you about them, but if you come in prepared and those are your strengths and you need to get that message across, you're better equipped to do that by doing this preparation before you walk into that room.
Boy, that's an excellent point because you're right. An interviewer may say, well, tell me about yourself. And if you've got your plan for success handy and you've thought through this process, you can say to the interviewer, well, can I tell you about the values and skills I developed in the military? There's no interviewer who's going to say no to that. And that, as you say, Steve, that opens the door. You just go into the values that you developed and how they're inculcated and you act from them today. That interviewer is going to lean forward on that. And then you follow that up with, well, these were my duties and this is what I got good at. Like Christian says, I had to communicate with people. I had to do it accurately. You've given them a sense of your skills. without any jargon wrapped up, just giving it to them in civilian terms. So, you know, thank you for that. I think that was spot on. What I'm going to do is we're going to go back, and for anybody who wants to hang around, we're going to continue this group discussion. But let me show you, for anybody who does need to leave at 2:30, what's going to happen now. All vets will get an invitation who took this course who took this session today, to take the course online. You can't just go on the website and take the course, because it's costly to us for everybody we put on the course. So therefore you have to be invited. But by investing your time today in this session, we're now going to follow up. And that's why it's important that if you have not registered, that you let Matthias know, so that we can make sure you get that invitation. And then Matthias and Steve have recorded this session. What I encourage you to do is to share the link to this recording out with any vets who maybe were not able to participate with us today, and they can watch this Zoom session and then get invited to take the online course. So we'll start the process with the folks with us today, leave it open for others who this spring want to be part of it, and we'll expand that cohort, give you a chance to create your plan for success. You'll have until May 10th to complete the plan, because then what we're going to do, skip ahead to Zoom 3, we're going to have a connection session on May 15th. You know, you'll get an email on this, but I'm just giving you a heads up, and mentors as well. That's going to be the session May 15th, 1 to 2:30, where you can bring your plan for success to that Zoom session. And we're going to set it up where the mentors are going to have a chance to share how you apply to them, give you the specifics on job openings that they have, where their hiring is going. And then you can have your plan and work with the mentors in this session on May 15th to make a match. So it's not a job fair, it becomes a job match where you've articulated your skills and your interests, and you can make matches to the openings that are available at our companies. And then we turn the ball over to you to be able to follow up on that. And like I say, that's why we find that up to 8 out of 10 vets who do this system do make a connection that sets them on a pathway. You know, and with the economy the way it is, and the upheavals and all, using this time now, vets, to get yourself prepared, so when the world gets back on its axis, you're at the head of the line to, you know, have that network that you can follow up and take your skills and interests and put yourself on a pathway. So that'll be May 15th. You'll have till May 10th to complete your plan and submit it to us. On April 24th, a week from today, same time, 1 to 2:30, we're going to have a peer support session. Vets, this will be for the vets. You do not have to come to it if you don't want, but for anybody, and I'm going to encourage you, by this weekend, you're going to get the invitation from us to take the online course, meaning that you'll be able to create an access, put in a password, and you'll have access to come and go to the online course. I'm going to invite you this weekend to dive in on it while the iron's hot and start the process of the online course. It's very intuitive, very easy. I'm going to show you in a moment how it works. But for anybody who has questions or wants to share tips back and forth on how it's going, we're going to have a peer support session next Friday. Again, you'll get all of this. Final note: any vets who have not yet, registered, make sure you send that to either me or to Matthias, letting us know so that we can make sure we get you registered so you get your invitation. And saying that, before I go back to our networking session and leave it open for those that want to hang around, let me go back to this earlier point about get started. I'm going to show you, this is only 2 minutes. This is a video we put together that shows you how the online program works. So when I say you're going to get an invitation to the online program, vets, you're going to get an invitation, and this is how it works. So let me play this for you. Then we'll go to a wrap up.
Hi, I'm Andre. Like you, I'm interested in the Edge4Vets course, but I wasn't sure if it was the right fit for me. Let's take a short walkthrough so you can see how easy it is to do. For me, it started with the welcome email. There are 2 versions of the course: the short version, if you've taken the Edge4Vets workshop, or the full path, for a deeper dive. You'll scroll to the bottom for the login link. To register, I just have to add a password, my name, military branch, if I'm in school, and my phone number. The other stuff is just optional. Here are the 2 course options. I've been to the workshop, so I'll do the short version. These are the modules I need to complete. After you start the course, you just need to read through the instructions on each page, watch the videos, and then click the next module. On the welcome page, you can download your Plan for Success Word document. This is where you'll type your vision, values, skills, and action statements. It looks a little daunting, but the course takes you through it step by step. Also, you don't have to go through the whole course all at once. When you need to take a break, click Exit, and you can see which modules you've completed. At the end of the course, you'll be able to upload your completed Edge4Vets plan. To do this, click Upload Now, choose a file, then you browse to where your plan Word document is. Click Open, and then Submit. When it's done uploading, it'll look like this, and you can click Done. I think the best part of this course is that the Edge4Vets team takes the time to look at your plan to help you make it as good as it can be. I can tell I'm done with the course because each module has a green check mark. I'm still waiting for my plan to be reviewed, so that one is orange. You'll get an email when they're done reviewing your plan. Log back in, and it'll show you've completed the course. Click Achievements, and you can download and print your certificate. In my opinion, the Edge4Vets course is worth your time, and it'll give you the advantage that you need to find the job and career you deserve. Good luck.
Okay, so good luck. That's it's very simple, and it's all highly intuitive, and you will get a chance starting this weekend when we send you the invitation to dive in. I encourage you to dive in and look forward to we'll send out an email. We'll send out an email to any of the mentors too if you'd like to join in next week on the peer support. And again, the whole purpose is to give you a comfort level with this online program and creating your plan for success. I think, Jimmy, you're spot on that somebody who does, or Steve, both of you mentioned that when you have a plan like this, it can give you an edge. And again, we're going to leave this open for another 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes or so. Anybody like to share any thoughts again around this idea of vets, how a system like this can help you, and mentors underscoring for the vets how an investment in their time, investment of their time in a making themselves job ready in this fashion can give them an edge to get to achieve the goal, which is to have somebody say yes to you for the job that you want, that can lead to the career you want, to give you the life that you want. Anybody want to, start it off? Or Matt, you want to, offer a closing statement, and then anybody wants to talk can?
Mentors for joining today. Really appreciate your comments and your support and your thoughts and your mentorship. It's really valuable. To the vets that are here, thank you. Tom, thank you. I think what we can do is, if we might be able to set up just breakout sessions. It'd be kind of, a group chat. If somebody's got a question, they want to connect with somebody real quick, we might be able to do that. Otherwise, we would just be here in the group, and it'd be kind of a group chat in that way. But we could do a breakout session. So if there's a vet that's wants to talk to somebody that's still here, send Stephen a message, and I think he can set that up. Correct me if I'm wrong, Stephen.
Yeah, I should be able to do that.
Great. And while Steve sets that up, you can probably create a single breakout room, and anybody who wants to, stay after this short wrap up can go to that and continue the conversation. Any mentors want to? I'm just eager to underscore for our vets how this is a valuable investment in themselves. I'd love to hear. So, and again, I want to just thank all our mentors for giving your time today, and we'll keep you posted all the way along. I'll be working with you closely as we get ready for that May 15th, so we can showcase your company. But in the meantime, any mentors want to just underscore how this is a valuable use of the vet's time?
I'd like to.
Go ahead, Bob.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of got hired through this program. So I met Steve Giaconetti through this program. And essentially what I learned from this program, it is amazing practice. I didn't have to essentially get one yes. I had to get 9 yeses over the span of 2 months. So culling my language over the practice of sessions such as these is very beneficial to any veteran that would like to put the time in to come in within this program to learn how to translate how they can benefit any company they would like to join.
We're gonna have to get you into that music video then, Bobby. You're as a success story. So we'll have to stay tuned. We're gonna follow up with you.
Okay.
I'd like to add as far as the value of the program, if you look at the mentors, certainly I've been doing this since 2012. Even today's chats, you probably have collectively hundreds of years of experience between these people. And to be able to tap into that, that's where I think the real value is. Somebody can look at your resume. I've looked at countless resumes from vets. I encourage, I'm not an expert, but I certainly encourage people, to send it over if you want somebody, third set of eyes. There's HR people in this group that can absolutely clean up the CV and the resume. But really, it's just the access to the resources. Tom has put together a collection of Standard Chartered, PayPal. These are huge companies, and it's going to be rare that you're going to have access to individuals that you can reach out to at these labyrinthian organizations. So I think it's hugely valuable. Just the success stories. Tom, you remember Kimberly? I've seen her when she started working at a brokerage house, down on Wall Street. And other success stories. It's quite impressive. Jesse, who's now at FTD, he was a guy, paratrooper, did 1,400 missions. It's amazing. It's a free resource that you really should tap into.
Just on that point, Jimmy, so much today is applying online. It's set up that way that if you can augment that with personal connections that you can gain through a system like this. And by the way, I just want to thank everybody, congratulate everybody. This is, an attempt to take what we achieved in person and replicate it online. And I'm very, very gratified to see the connection making between vets and mentors that we've been able to achieve today. We set up a couple of small group sessions, and I went from them, bounced around and heard a lot of great stuff. So Jimmy, to your point, I think that person-to-person support that vets can get from professionals out there in the workforce is possible even in a virtual setting like this.
Absolutely.
So Matt, you want to, again, I'm grateful to, to Fordham, my institute. For anybody who doesn't know, the Human Resiliency Institute that I run that offers Edge4Vets is in the Gabelli School of Business. With Donna Ravasoli, the dean. We work very closely with Fordham and Matt and his student veterans, and just grateful to you, Matt, and to your whole student group for your technical support, your leadership with recruitment. And again, I would encourage Mateus, when this thing is a link, you've recorded it, when it's a link and archived and can be shared, blast it out to the vets that weren't with us today. Let them, take an hour and a half to watch this and sign up and have access to this. Any closing statements, Matt?
Yeah, no, just thanks again. Thank you, Tom, for putting this on, working with us to take, what this is the new normal. And I think it just shows the resiliency and adaptability, some of the things that are in great demand these days that veterans have in spades. We're going to continue to push forward and prepare ourselves and use the time that we've got in a way that we've never had before and make things happen. So again, thanks for all the mentors. I think we can wrap it up here and we've gone over a little bit. We appreciate everybody's time, and we look forward to getting everybody back after they've completed their plans and put them on that next path to the trajectory to get to the place where they want to be so they can have the lives that they want and the careers that they want. So thanks again.
And there's one final note for anybody who didn't write down the dates. Next Friday, we'll be back here. And then May 15th, we'll be back here. So thanks, Matt.